Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a story that asks a pretty huge question. Can love, memory, and hope actually survive the absolute darkest moments of history? It's this incredible novella that weaves together a tragic romance with a mystery that, well, it stretches beyond life and death itself. So, let's set the scene. We're in a small hotel in the south of France. It's 1940. The whole of Europe is just holding its breath, right on the brink of total war. And it's in this strange, tense atmosphere that our narrator, a writer who's also in exile, meets a man who is carrying a story that he will never, ever forget. Now, this meeting isn't some quick thing. It's a slow burn, a connection that's built between two refugees as the entire world they once knew is just crumbling around them. And the man himself? He's a total enigma. He's a former literary translator from Prague, and he's described as having this curious agelessness, Like his suffering has been so extreme, it's almost pulled him out of ordinary time. This is a man haunted by his past, a past he describes with this chilling phrase, "a country to which I have revoked my own passport." So, over a few evenings, this mysterious translator, he finally starts to open up. He begins sharing the story of his life back in Vienna, years and years before, during the final days of that old world. And this timeline, it charts the course of a stolen, an impossible kind of love. You have to picture him. He was a solitary scholar, totally lost in his work. And she was this brilliant, sensitive woman who was trapped in a comfortable but really empty life. Their connection was just immediate and profound. It was the secret reality that burned so brightly just beneath the surface of a very buttoned-up, conventional world. And this quote, wow, it gets right to the heart of their problem, doesn't it? Their love was a transgression, a kind of stolen happiness built against all the social rules, against her own family. It was a love that was just destined for a tragic ending.
And just as they were facing their own deeply personal crisis, this news of a global catastrophe, just crashes into their lives, making their private drama seem almost insignificant in comparison.
The Great War didn't just redraw the map of Europe, it absolutely obliterated their personal world. The miscarriage, his awful job in the censorship office, the fact they were almost completely separated, it all just served to sever their connection, burying their private hopes under the weight of this unimaginable global slaughter. But here in 1917, the story takes this sharp turn. It stops being just a tragic romance and becomes something much, much stranger, something that makes you question the very nature of reality. He manages to get to her bedside for one last meeting, one final moment, and he finds her so weak, but her mind is perfectly clear. And she has this final, shocking confession to make that will completely redefine everything he thought he knew about their love. And what she tells him is, it's just mind-blowing. See, he always believed their meeting at that concert was just a beautiful accident. But Anna tells him, no, it wasn't an accident at all. She says she recognized him. She claims she'd had a premonition of their entire tragic story, and that their lost child had actually chosen not to be born into such a world of suffering. With this one final, desperate plea, really it's a command, to remember a story that defies any rational explanation. Anna dies. And she leaves the translator with a truth that is going to haunt him for the rest of his life. You'd think that would be the end of their story, right? But no. Her death, incredibly, was not the end of their conversation. It was just the beginning of a new, even stranger chapter. And this brings us to this central idea in the story, something it calls the language of shadows. It's this idea that love is a thread connecting souls across time, a conversation that can continue long after someone is gone. So for the next 2 years, something incredible starts happening. Anna communicates with him from beyond the grave. She offers him comforts, she explains that death isn't an end, it's just a transition. But she also delivers this terrifying prophecy of a second, even greater darkness that's coming for Europe, before she finally says goodbye. And he secretly writes down every single word she tells him. Which brings us right back to where we started in 1940. The translator is finishing his tale, and he's getting ready to pass this incredible burden on to our narrator. He hands the narrator his one last surviving notebook, the one with Anna's final messages and prophecies inside. And he has just one request. Keep the story alive. make sure Anna's words survive the very darkness that she foretold was coming. Shortly after, the narrator flees to safety, and he later learns the translator's fate. He was arrested and murdered. He became another victim of the Holocaust, the Great Darkness that Anna had predicted all those years earlier. So, is that it? Is the story just gone forever? Well, the narrator escapes to the new world, and he's clutching that little leather notebook. It's his only connection to this impossible story. And there, he's about to make a discovery that changes absolutely everything. Because then, something impossible happens. On the blank pages of that very notebook, new writing starts to mysteriously appear. And it's in this elegant, feminine handwriting. It's Anna's voice, and now she's speaking directly to him, the new keeper of her story. And it's through these new messages, this impossible conversation, that we finally understand what this story is really all about. The core theme is finally and powerfully revealed.
And this is the essence of her message. It's not just for the translator or even for our narrator. It's a timeless message of hope for anyone, anywhere, living through times of deep despair and darkness.
So ultimately, what are we left with? The story becomes this powerful testament to three huge ideas: that love is stronger than death, that just the act of remembering is a form of resistance, and that hope, true hope, can outlast any darkness. You know, in the end, you realize this isn't just a ghost story. It's not even just a love story. It's about the profound responsibility we all have to bear witness. That by listening, by remembering, and by sharing the stories of others, that is how we keep the flame of humanity lit, even through the longest, darkest night. And so, in a world that can often feel pretty fractured and shadowed by its own darknesses, this story leaves us with a really vital question, one that's meant for every single one of us. It asks us to think about the histories, the memories, and the loves that have been entrusted to us, and to ask ourselves, how do we choose to carry them forward?